Nigerian by blood, American by birth, Prophet Idowu strives to impact culture one brand at a time. He works at Fallon Advertising Agency as an account manager since graduating from the University of Minnesota Twin Cities in 2014. As someone who's considered himself an energy source, Prophet brings just that to the art of client service and infuses it in his love for advertising. He's been able to flex his diverse set of skills on brands such as H&R Block, Trivia Natural Sweetener, and Fanatics. To him, every day is a blessing and sometimes to be enjoyed and something to be enjoyed while serving others. Outside of work, you can find him spending time in the community and lighting fires for future generations. We're so delighted to have him to serve as our keynote speaker today. Please help me in welcoming Prophet.
Excuse me while I adjust this mic. I'm kind of height challenged a little bit. Good morning, everyone, and I am very humbled and thankful to be in front of you today. And, standing in front of my university that I graduated from, I'm able to once again show the love I have for being a Gopher. If you were to approach an intersection and walk over a crosswalk on any street in this campus, many people of diverse backgrounds and ethnicities would enter your line of sight. What would come to mind upon first glance? Would you be courageous enough to look at life through their eyes if given the opportunity? Upon first glance, according to a study done 2 years ago, published in the Journal of Neuroscience, the brain immediately determines how trustworthy a face is before it's even fully perceived, which supports the fact that we make very fast judgments about people before we even fully know who they are. I feel a judgment was made about me during an encounter with a UMPD police officer in the fall of 2013 during my senior year of college. On my way back from class, I was heading north on Church Street, making my way over a crosswalk at the intersection of Church and Pillsbury Drive. Some of you may know the area. After looking both ways, and my apologies there. After looking both ways and halfway successfully making it across the crosswalk, I got yelled at and flagged by that same UMPD police officer. The UMPD officer yelled something at me that I couldn't quite understand. I took my earbuds out, I stopped, and I looked at the officer directly in the face. And I replied, "Yes, officer." The officer had a menacing look on his face, probably because he was having a bad day. Almost with the tone of frustration or anger, he replied to me, enunciating each word as if I wouldn't understand what would come next. He said, "Look both ways before you cross the street." I stood there confused because this was something that was second nature, something that I learned in elementary school. I replied, "What?" Almost thrusting himself out of the car as if jolted by my response, he said, "You heard me. Look both ways before you cross the street." I responded with a compliant, "Yes, officer." A weird stare down ensued for what may have been 5 to 10 seconds. But in those 5 to 10 seconds, a feeling of fear made its way into the seat of my chest. Would he get out of the car, motion me to the side, and give me a ticket? Would he handcuff me? Would he have taken me to jail? All of these things rushed to my mind. Lastly, I thought, is it because I'm black? Luckily for me, after this stare down, the officer decided to go on his way. I chalked that moment up to two intersecting paths of life connected in a moment of misunderstanding and judgment. I had no idea what that officer had seen or been through in his life up until that point. On my crosswalk, there have been many people and faces standing behind me in support in my journey in getting to college. These were all constructive forces in my life. I don't know his story, nor did he know mine, but if the person in the position of power took an opportunity and chance to set aside his feelings or perceived bias, he would find more than just a colored face painted with inaccurate thoughts. He would find a young man looking to make something of himself and his family. When we consider the formative experiences of life aligned from childhood to present, we are closer to considering our shared existence as more than just a discussion of skin color, fairness, or differences, but rather a shared human condition of judgment that can be used as the common thread to understand what's behind the true narrative of a face after first glance. Today's equity and diversity will not only serve as a window into my life and some experiences, but as the proverbial crosswalk of my Nigerian-American life and a challenge to look at your crosswalk to affect others as constructive forces and positive ripples who would touch future generations to come. Nigerian by blood, American by birth is an origin story that starts with the determination for a better life and greater opportunities. My mother came to America from Lagos, Nigeria. From hotel maid to trained medical assistant serving the elderly, growing up, I've had the opportunity to watch my mother work hard to become a self-made woman. My sister and I were surrounded by wonderful tribal cuisines such as fufu, some of you may know that. A village of Nigerians in a tight-knit community within Minnesota who helped shape and mold who I would become today. Hustling from day to day, month to month, to provide for our family, my mother worked up to the point where she was able to provide for us and move us out of a small apartment to a rented home, then to owning our own home. My mother, sister, and heritage will always be a driving force of success within my life. I hope you guys can join me now. My mother's in the room. I would really love you to give a round of applause for her. In the context of diversity in academia in Minnesota, apart from in-group in my home life, my out-group in the world made it commonplace for me to be one of the only Nigerian-American kids in a classroom setting. Even as class size and age increased from year to year, the teachers and students that had the same skin color as me were populated in the minority. Introspectively, finding a safe space to call my own and connecting with others that looked like me was not easy. Figuring out a pathway to college wasn't easy either. College didn't look like a possibility for someone like me. I did well in high school, but I was coming from a single-parent household where an infrastructure that led to an institution of higher learning was not in place. Having the opportunity to attend a university meant I would be one of the first people to attend college in the United States. In my family, I would be a first-generation college student. Attending the U of M was more than just an offer of admission. It came with profound responsibility to live up to the expectations my mother hath placed upon me and shared to a contributed vision of a better life. In pursuit of that dream, I am standing on the shoulders of the slaughtered and oppressed giants who have come before me to make such a dream possible. Known periods and people and events in history such as Brown v. Board of Education ruling, the death of Emmett Till, the Little Rock Nine, Fannie Lou Hamer, and the whole civil rights movement, including the names of the known, which many of you know, and the names of the unknown who have lived through that era, who fought for civil rights and equal rights. They were catalysts for my success, causing ripples to change the fabric of history, constructive forces, long before I was born on behalf of the collective black race as a whole. Before college, I placed myself under the mentorship of two African-American males, Dennis Ware and Don Francis, partaking in programs called the Rites of Passage and Be the Dream. It was in these programs I heard stories of Mr. Ware and other black males who faced racism head-on during their upbringing. This prepared me for college, and I also was able to surround myself with other young black males who would battle against the same stereotypes and prejudices placed upon our people. These men and programs served as the antidote to deconstructive images and biases that my graduating class would encounter, such as a potential member of the prison system, unfairly targeted by the police, a thug, Oreo, ghetto, uneducated, and the N-word. On my crosswalk, as I took steps towards the present, the University of Minnesota Twin Cities served as a jumpstart to my life and placed new advocates towards my success and different intersecting paths of life crossed. Attending the university means you're afforded an opportunity to grow, learn, and partake in new experiences. I joined a fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, and climbed up its ranks, impacting a diverse set of lives and cultures all around the country. I was able to secure an internship at the Royal Bank of Canada in the Technology Services Department, and also at Magnet 360, which is a tech company. Throughout my collegiate career, I expanded my network, and two seasoned U of M faculty and staff made their way across my path and invested in me. John Ruzak, the Alumni Association, Senior Director of Alumni Networks, taught me the importance of staying connected with other alumni and networking. He risked his reputation to email and connect me with other professionals for informational interviews and just chat about life every now and then. Orkide Mohajiri, coordinator of undergraduate studies in CAHD, showed me the genuine support I've never experienced from a teacher here. In her class, I was forced to chart a course towards graduation to the career I'm in now, advertising. Obtaining access to college and attending the University of Minnesota not only served as a crucial foundation, but helped actualize part of the labor of love and mentorship that was placed upon my life. On my crosswalk, as I look towards the future, what it means to be a man of color and the importance of equity and diversity in my industry and profession is that it still needs to face the problems of diversity and stop blaming others. As a college-educated Nigerian-American male, I'm afforded the opportunity to work at an agency that promotes positive, diverse workplace culture. But there are people of color like myself who are calling for the advertising industry to face its issues of diversity and lack of inclusion. With being just 2 years out of college, I'm still building a career. I look to real-world sources, people, and articles to support my journey and look out for what's ahead. Last month, I read an opinion article that startled me by Derek Walker, featured on The Drum. He goes on to recount his experiences within the advertising industry as an African-American male. I recount those experiences for you. A partner whose name was on the door met me in the lobby, shook my hand, and said, "I'm sorry, Derek, but I don't think our clients are ready for a black copywriter. You do know if you were white, I'd be working for you. Management has told me that I can give you a raise, but as long as you're black, you can never be promoted. Dude, I'm sorry." Today, there are fewer blacks in advertising at general marketing agencies than when I first entered the business. The lack of diversity has actually grown worse. As a person of color, I share in this struggle, a struggle to overcome. The struggle for equality ever present at the discussion of diversity and inclusion present at workplaces all around the country. I realize there are many others who face barriers and glass ceilings which prevent them from actualizing their dreams. What it means to be a man of color and the importance of equity and diversity amongst the social and political tension in 2016 is to play an active role in rewriting the African-American narrative within the United States, showing that people of color are not just media headlines serving as the next Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, or Philando Castile, but future PhDs, lawyers, political leaders, and business executives shaping the culture in the world. Now let's visit your crosswalk for a moment. To the professionals and seasoned adults in the room, imagine with me for a second. If we were to take a walk together on your personal crosswalk, who are the 10 faces that have had a significant impact on your career or life, helping you get to where you are today? For the young adults and students in the room, and the award recipients as well, think about the 10 people academically or in your current job that has positively impacted your life. Now think about how many of these people have been a different race or ethnicity. Did that number dwindle or increase? Did it take up the majority of people you viewed or encountered in your crosswalk? C.S. Lewis once said, "The next best thing to being wise is to live in a circle of those who are." If your crosswalk is only filled with people that look like you, I challenge you today to counteract that natural response of in-group versus out-group. Take a chance and bring people from different walks of life into your sphere of influence. What you teach them will serve as kindle for the next flame to shine brightly. Communication is hard, yet it's one of the most fundamental things we do as human beings. We spend thousands of hours talking with those in our in-group, but at times find it hard to find a common ground with those in our out-group. Moments of vulnerability in light of judgment, no matter how small or big, go a long way and can be powerful drivers in the lives of others. If that officer had the opportunity to see beyond that moment on the crosswalk, like you all have today, this is what he would see: the importance of heritage, role models, and a plethora of experiences standing right behind me, which made me into the man I am today. Everyone, I thank you for the opportunity to share my moment of vulnerability with you. Have a great day.